Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are back. Black Screen, episode 7. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I know we have a very few concurrent viewers here, but that's okay. That is perfectly fine. But yeah, welcome. This is a solo stream. Once again, been doing more than uh streams with multiple people, but some podcasts have just one person, so I thought, you know what? This is just something that I can do, so why not, right? But yeah, Black Screen, episode 6, welcome. So this stream, as you can see, is all about Snyderman, our Lord and Savior, Zack Snyder. We're gonna be talking about him, my favorite, sand eater. He eats sand. We got in the chat Minecraft world. Hello, I'm gonna be live as well in about 10 minutes talking about Markiplier's Iron Lung. I have been intending to watch it. Um, I want to watch it, but unfortunately, I cannot, and I also will not because I will not watch the movie without playing the game. I did get the game, but I hadn't had time to play it. So eventually, I will play it, and when I play it, I'm gonna watch the movie. Even if it's not in theaters, I will watch it. It doesn't really look like a movie I would want to watch in theaters anyways, but um if I can then I will and if I can't then I won't. But yeah, I do have full intention of watching the movie, but only after I play the game. Uh in the meantime, let's actually cover some news. We got a new trailer for Spider-Man Noir or Spider Noir. It'll be following Ben Riley. This version of Spider-Man Noir is called Ben Riley. Typically, it's just Peter Parker, but no, we're doing we're doing Ben Riley, which is interesting. I mean, I guess it's a rights issue, but it's releasing on Amazon Prime instead of Netflix, so that's interesting. But I'm not complaining. I mean, it looks good. It looks pretty good. I like to think that it could be Marvel's version of the Penguin, which is funny because the creators of Daredevil Born Again said the same thing about Born Again. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing to say about Born Again with how bad it ended up being. But Spider-Man Noir actually looks to be um an actual departure from the usual Marvel formula. It might actually be good. Um I I am hopeful for this show actually. And it might be due to the fact that it's following up on not just following up on Spider-Verse, but also just stylistically, it's different from the usual slop that we get with the MCU. This is like the first. This is the first uh Marvel thing that we have seen that isn't um MCU slop. So I am not complaining. No complaints here. I am perfectly okay with Spider Noir. I will give it a chance, and I do have intentions of covering this show. Um, and apparently, there's going to be several villains, such as Silvermane. We haven't seen Silvermane in live action at all, so that's really interesting. It could uh give it could produce Silver Sable. You know, we could get Silver Sable in this series, which I am looking forward to seeing because, well, I like Silver Sable. I liked her in the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series, and I liked her in the Spider-Man PS4 game. I think the Spider-Man PS4 might be my favorite version of Silver Sable. We might get Black Cat. That guy is on fire, so that might be Molten Man. Um, if not, then I really don't know who else it could be. Maybe Firestar, but you know, could be either one. Um, Electro. We got a hint of Electro. I think Electro might be there. And personally, I'm excited because Electro is my favorite Spider-Man villain. So we'll see. We'll see. In other news, we're getting a John Wick game too, so that's fun. And we're also getting, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. Magic was just added. Um, and those of you that know me know how much I love Russian women. But yeah, and Elsa Bloodstone was just added into Marvel Rivals. I hate Marvel Rivals, but I can't stop playing it. Now I know how League of Legends players feel like. I absolutely despise Marvel Rivals. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't have enough comic suits. Oh, they do have comic suits. 90% of the suits should be comic suits. Like, I don't even know why you're bothering designing brand new suits when suits from the comics already exist. And some of the suits that they choose that are from the comics, some of them are good, but a lot of them are from comics that, like, either A, no one has heard of, or B, no one likes. For example, Chasm. They added the Chasm suit for Spider-Man. Who the hell likes Chasm? Like, I didn't even know who Chasm was until, like, I actually saw the suit and looked it up and made the connection. Oh, this is Kane Parker. I forgot he turned into Chasm. That suit is ugly. They chose the ugliest suit for Spider-Man to give. Like, we got Emma Frost 2099 and Skeld for Angela before we got Miguel O'Hara. That's and they created a brand new suit for Daredevil that was like a 2099 based when there was already two Daredevil 2099s. There was the descendant of Foggy Nelson and the descendant of Wilson Fisk. I forgot their first names, but they're both descendants of Foggy Nelson and Wilson Fisk. You had two different 2099 variants of Daredevil, and you chose none of them. That's insane to me. That's absolutely insane to me. That makes zero sense to me. Uh, and Luna Snow has a bunch of legendary skins too, which is bizarre. Um, then there's also the Supergirl trailers as well. Lobo is being played by Jason Momoa. That's neat, I guess. I still think Supergirl's gonna be bad, but we'll see. And now that we've segued into DC, I want to talk about something that I'm going to talk about in a future video, which is a Zack Snyder video I'm working on, so I might be spoiling it a little bit here, but it is relevant, so I don't really mind. So, with the merger between Warner Brothers and Netflix, or Warner Brothers acquiring Netflix, funny thing about that, I had a theory. It was a bit of a joke theory, that if this happens, if Netflix and Warner Brothers go through with it, if Netflix acquires Warner Brothers, then they could, in theory, restore the Snyderverse. That was a joke, mostly, that I made to myself because I thought it would be funny. I was just trying to make light of a very bad situation, a very like haunting situation, because the implications for what Netflix is trying to do is just downright dystopian. But I just wanted to make, I wanted to make light of that so that, you can have a look at the bright side of this. Look at the bright side, right? Just trying to stay positive about the whole situation and also trying to mock the people involved as well. Because mockery is currently the most effective form of humor as it currently stands. It is a very effective form of humor. Mockery works just fine. And that's what we're going to do today. So, it turns out that people might actually end up believing that. Now, in this particular case, we're looking at a guy named Dami, who is a Snyderverse fan. And I do want it noted that the the Snyderverse will probably not get restored, and but I also want it noted that I am a Snyder, well, not fan, but I do love his movies. I do really like Zack Snyder. His movies are terrible, but I do like his movies. I really do like his movies, and frankly, I want to see him make some form of return. I would want to see that, but I know that it's not going to happen, at least not for DC. He's currently working on a murder mystery movie, so it's not like he's making anything like too big. He's completely abandoned Rebel Moon. He's completely abandoned Twilight of the Gods because nobody's watching either one of them. So, but yeah, no, Zack Snyder, he's not very good with storytelling. He's very bad at it, especially with DC. And the fans are very adamant about it. I've talked about it before in other videos and other streams. Um, but yeah, no, like the Snyderverse cult is a very fascinating phenomenon because you don't see that everywhere. You don't see that all the time with other creators, with other directors. It's almost exclusively a Snyder phenomenon. A Zack Snyder, it's him mostly that evokes the kind of emotion that he does with his fans, and it's very fascinating. You don't see it everywhere. So yeah, I really think this is something worth studying. Like the Snyderverse cult needs to be studied. I think more people should keep. I don't think people should stop paying attention to the Snyder cult. I think people should pay more attention to it for entertainment's sake. That's it. Like it can get tiresome, but personally, there's an earnestness in Snyder movies, despite them being so bad, but there's an earnestness. I can't really put my finger on it, but there is an earnestness to his movies. Like, he genuinely believes this is what excellent writing looks like. And even through his cynical stories, even through his most cynical stories, it's like it's not a, it is pretentious, don't get me wrong, it absolutely is pretentious. But it's not maliciously pretentious, you know what I mean? It's like he's got this he has the same symptom. He reflects the symptom of the fans. Like, he has the symptom of Dunning-Kruger effect, where he believes he understands something when he puts it in his movies, and then his fans interpret it for him to make it seem as though it's like better than it actually is. If not, then he'll just put it in there. Anything that involves religion, anything that involves Christianity, talking about Zack Snyder and how we need to restore the Snyderverse. So, without further ado, there's no more ado. Let us begin. Hold on. Because the desktop audio is muted. There we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy.
This is called Superman Legacy.
Wait. Superman Legacy. I don't know why he would point this as a snipe. Like, yeah, it's not called Superman Legacy. So what? So what? It's not called Superman Legacy. So don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna defend James Gunn because Creature Commandos was awful. Superman was awful. Like, don't get me wrong. Those are like terrible movies. But this isn't the criticism I would levy. Or the box office.
This is awkward.
One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
What? Wait. What? What was that? Tom King was involved with, like, the CIA. Okay. And? But I don't get it. I don't get it. Am I missing something? Maybe I am missing something. I'll let it slide for now.
We've seen enough. The Snyderverse needs to be restored. And before James Gunn's meat writers arrive in my comments with their little "it's over, move on" comment, sit down and get your dick out of your hand so blood can flow to your heads. We're about to have a conversation that requires you engaging your brain cells. You want to know why the Snyderverse needs to be restored? Well, it's pretty simple. We are tired of the same formula.
Okay, so first, already. Hold on. OBS is putting the BS in OBS. Hold on. While I do that, already the levels of spite in this video and pettiness are already off the charts. Like, there's this war between gun fans and Snyder fans that it's just, I think it's entertaining to watch. And it's funny being on the outside because I think both of them are bad. They're like both equal. Both Man of Steel and Superman are both equally terrible. Superman is like, okay, Man of Steel is funny bad. Superman is depressing bad, I would say. Superman, like, it's depressing how bad it is. Which is a shame because I did want this movie to be good. I was expecting it to be good. I was hopeful for it being good. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and I went into further detail in my video, which you should check out. But overall, like, the movie has failed narratively in so many ways. There's Superman himself, like the character arc from start to finish. That was just it relies. People have said it before, but it relies on origin story tropes. But the movie doesn't want to be an origin story, but it relies on those tropes. So the only way you can get that character arc to work is through meta understanding of Superman's origin and how he was raised by the Kents. Thing is, though, that John Kent, for Superman to be like mature, John Kent needs to die because Superman needs to learn that lesson that he can't save everyone because John dies of a heart attack, but he's still alive in this. Oh, so you can't do that. Oh, we're doing something different. Okay, well, what are you doing? Oh, we're doing a nature versus nurture thing. Okay, that's fine. You have to present Superman with a choice, right? What is the choice being given to him? Keep being a good person or rape humanity? What do you think Superman's going to choose? This is the exact same thing. So this is like a worse version of the dilemma in Man of Steel, where he's like, destroy humanity or destroy Krypton. Like, no matter which, like, he's obviously going to choose destroy Krypton. Like, he's already killed so many people prior to the killing of the babies of the in the nursing chamber. He's already killed so many babies that, like, killing Zod should not have caused any sort of moral quandary, should not caused any sort of moral, like, shake, because he's already killed so many people to be like in the fight alone. And then he kills the babies. So Superman has essentially committed genocide against his own people. And then he kills Zod. So he didn't mourn for the babies. He didn't mourn for the civilians that he killed by still keeping the fight within the populated area of the city. But he cries when Zod dies because he was the last of his kind. But he already killed what was left of his kind by throwing them into a black hole. Not the Phantom Zone, a black hole. So yeah, doesn't work. So it's like, okay, your choices are support humanity and just save humanity, or kill everyone. That's his moral conflict. Superman's moral conflict is keep saving humanity or rape it. What do you think is going to happen? Like, of course he's gonna choose to save humanity. That's not even a choice. That's just like, why? And he mentions Dami mentions the formula issue. I think he means because, like, the movie feels like a Marvel movie. I would argue it has problems that are worse than your typical Marvel movies, but we'll see how this he argues this point.
The Joss Whedon, James Gunn, and Taika Waititi action comedy. They are the unholy trinity of superhero slop.
Dude, okay, say what you want about Whedon as a person, but Avengers was good. Avengers was a good movie. You can't say it wasn't. It was genuinely a good movie.
Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet.
Oh wow, he knows biblical terms, yeah. Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. Wow. Guardians was good. I don't remember much of Guardians 2, and I remember Guardians 3 being a little iffy with its writing. But, like, Guardians was good. Guardians was a good movie. I don't know what he's talking about. And what was the other one that he said? What was the other one?
Superhero slot. Satan, the Antichrist, and
What Waititi? Okay, I'll give him this. Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder were not good movies, so I will give him that.
the false prophet. People are tired of the juvenile, self-aware, forgettable action comedy slop that these three insidious figures have influenced.
Insidious. That's a very strong claim. That's an extremely strong claim. I think. Like, I get that they might have dwindled in their later years, but they are capable of making good movies. It's just that James Gunn does not want to adapt to what the story demands, or like what the kind of tone his story would demand, or like he cannot write a solo movie to save his life. His comfort zone is team up movies. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But then why would you make a Superman movie? That would be my question. But even then, like, even if you wanted to argue that it wouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things, he's a one-trick pony most of the time. Gunn is like a one-trick pony. And he hasn't like grown up from that at all. He hasn't really grown up from and over the years I think he's grown more spiteful, more more petty. And that has bled on over into his writing. Especially Peacemaker Season 2 and Superman, because like the monkeys on typewriter thing, that was an analog to Zack Snyder fans. That was an analog, and that I think that comes with the territory of being terminally online, which will obviously turn anyone insane. So, Joss Whedon was a creep, so I'm not gonna. You could probably separate the art from the artist, but then again, he made Age of Ultron, but he still made Avengers. So, like, I still think you could separate the art from the artist, but Joss Whedon did not invent humor. Like, the movie Avengers, like the first one, was genuinely funny. People's attempts to replicate Joss Whedon's humor led to the sloppy, quippy dialogue that we get in later MCU titles, and like they fail at it because they're just simply not good at writing jokes. They're not good at it. So like that's not Joss Whedon's fault. Saurus Maximus says audio is weird. If it gets too bad, then I will re-upload this video. I will re-upload. Don't worry about it. Let me just pin that. There we go. So anyone new to the channel, if you're wondering if I'm roboting too hard, just click that. Anyway. But yeah, like, Joss Whedon did not invent humor. It's just that people are bad at his kind of humor. Everyone's failure to copy his humor is then pinned on him. And he becomes the scapegoat for some godforsaken reason. He just becomes a scapegoat for everything wrong with humor. It's just baffling to me. Just baffling. It's not his fault that everyone sucks at his kind of humor. Like, it's not his fault. It really isn't. So stop blaming Joss Whedon for everyone else's failure to try and be funny like he was. But again, Joss Whedon was a creep. Let's separate the art from the artist.
Joss Whedon's career has been dead for years now, so he doesn't really have that much influence anymore. We have been done with him for a while. People are finally turning on Taika Waititi after years of glazing him despite his very obvious one-dimensional formula. He did so much damage to Thor, but fortunately the Russo brothers are going to undo all of that. Okay.
Yeah, the Russos are going to undo all of that. Yeah, the same people that made The Gray Man and Endgame are going to undo the damage that was done by Taika Waititi. I mean, Series Thor is back, so that's probably a good sign, but like with everything, I made a stream about this, by the way, but with everything we know about the MCU's lore and world building and like the character assassinations, how on earth is Avengers Doomsday going to be anything other than a disaster? Like, do you seriously think Endgame is going to be good? I mean, Doomsday, do you really think it's going to be good?
Reaction to Thor being serious again in Avengers Doomsday proves how fake the grifting meat writers were who were glazing Taika to begin with. And lastly, the silver-haired man-child himself, James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy man, the final boss of One Trick Ponies, a cancer that eats at the soul of a once great brand, a
Jesus Christ. Okay. We're going strong with this one, huh? I will say he does have really good editing. I will say he's a really good editor. He's good. He's really good at compositing. Well, not compositing, at masking. He's really good. He's really good. I will give him that.
a herald of destruction that is coming for the entire comic book genre.
I herald.
Slop.
There simply aren't enough words to communicate how much damage this imbecile has done to DC and the wider comic book genre. However, my fellow jaded optimists, there is hope because the audience has finally started rejecting these type of movies. They want worthwhile experiences, movies that will leave an impression on them. And
I agree, but I don't think we agree on what that means.
if you want movies that leave an impression on the audience, then look no further than the Snyderverse.
It did leave an impression. Not a good impression, but it did leave an impression. That's not the movie I would go to, but sure. Iron Lung left an impression. I feel like movies like that would... Wait! This unused Man of Steel poster is hilarious. Why is bro aura farming on the train and he threw through the building? Wait, what? This has to be AI generated. There's no way this is real. Oh my god, that's that's frying me, dude. Why is he aura farming? Oh, that's great. I love that. People crying and screaming in agony as buildings are falling on them. The world engine is just like, whirring in the background. Zod is killing hundreds of thousands of civilians while bro is just aura farming. Bro thinks he's Piccolo. That's great. That's great. I love that. I love that so much. That's perfect. Thanks, Zach.
To this day, people argue over these movies. It drives so much discourse despite an entire reboot happening. Just over this weekend, the new casting for The Batman dropped, new photos of Supergirl dropped, and a whole trailer for Supergirl dropped a month ago. And despite that, people were arguing about an unreleased poster for Man of Steel in the year 2026.
Jesus Christ. The spite. The spite in this video. I love it. I love it. Listen, I'm all for taking a giant dump on James Gunn, but let's not pretend like Zack Snyder's any better. Okay? Let's not pretend. They both suck at making Superman movies. They both suck. Man. And I'm pretty sure that if you talk about things enough and you see them enough in your page, then it's gonna seem like everyone is talking about it, like an echo chamber. Like if you're in a group where everybody's talking about it, whether it's good or bad, like you're gonna think that everyone is talking about it more often than it actually is. Because, sorry, I have not heard anyone talk about either. So.
In fact, Zack Snyder's DC posts get more traction than the official announcements by the head of DC Studios himself. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Till this day, you can discover new and interesting details about the Snyderverse movies. For instance,
Wait, what does that, because like a like ratio doesn't necessarily mean he has a larger following. It just means that people people may just prefer one thing over the other on a surface level. Let's say you're like scrolling past something, for example. Let's just say you're scrolling past this image. You think it's a comic book image and you see James Gunn's posting it. If you're not a fan of these things, you're going to be like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Boop. Like. Or let's say you're looking at this and you say, oh, that's pretty cool. Like. That doesn't mean anything. A like ratio doesn't mean anything. Like, people might see this and be like, oh, that's cool, but I've seen it a couple thousand times before. And then just scroll past it without bothering to like it. And other times, you can just look at this and be like, oh, that's a pretty good shot. I've never seen Henry Cavill in the original suit. Boop. Like, that doesn't mean anything. A like ratio doesn't mean anything. Like, if you want to look at follower and subscriber counts, that'd be a different conversation. But likes is not an accurate, retweets and reposts, probably. Because if you look at the share button, the share button exceeds the on James Gunn's end exceeds that of Zack Snyder's. Same thing for the retweets. Same thing for the comments. But people like this more. So you know what that tells me? People saw this passively and liked this because this was like a live action footage of Henry Cavill as Superman with the Christopher Reeve suit. This looks like comic book art. This looks like cosplay or set design. I have a feeling people will find this more interesting than this purely on a surface level, not because people are clamoring for Zack Snyder's Justice League and the Snyderverse to return. This looks like generic comic book art that people look by and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I don't mean generic in a bad sense. I mean generic like in this is a comic panel or just art from just art that James Gunn is promoting of Superman and Lex Luthor. This is just art that's like well done, well colored. It looks really good, really well done. And because people see that, especially if you're like in an art space, people see that all the time. Like they're gonna look past it. They're not gonna think twice about it because it looks cool. But they're not impressed by the fact that it looks cool because they've seen art as good as this, if not better, like elsewhere. So, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna like it. Or this is really cool, but it's whatever. And just scroll past it. Whereas this, I would argue this is more interesting. Just seeing an actor wearing the Christopher Reeve suit because of the legacy Christopher Reeves carries. It doesn't mean people are clamoring for Zack Snyder. It doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. See, this is what I mean. Like, they see patterns where there's not any.
Announcements by the head of DC Studios himself, and it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Till this day, you can discover new and interesting details about the Snyderverse movies. For instance, the Kryptonian ships and armor were inspired by H.R. Geiger's artwork, the guy who designed the Xenomorphs in the Alien movies.
Okay, cool.
That is the level of artistic vision we're talking about. And Superman's suit, that had a Joseph Campbell quote written in Kryptonian in the symbol. Or you could point out to countless visual allusions to Excalibur, one of the greatest movies of all time. Meanwhile,
a movie can look good and have interesting levels of detail and intricacies in them and still be bad. Mugenics. Let me look. This thing is hiding my chat. I can't see anything. Mugenics stream when? I'm playing it right now, and it's something you need to see to believe, Rune. Maybe one day. So much stuff I need to do.
James Gunn is over here like, what if Superman's parents were space Nazis? Groundbreaking stuff, James. Truly, groundbreaking stuff. Every shot in the Snyderverse referenced classical paintings. There were so many layers to dissect. But sure, tell me.
None of them cohere with each other. They're all arbitrarily spliced together to make it look cool. Snyder doesn't know what he's talking about. I made like a video discussing how like not Adam Wingard, Michael Dougherty used a bunch of religious symbolism in what's his face in Godzilla King of the Monsters, but he had no idea what he's doing. This is the same thing. It's all hype moments and aura, dude. Like, if you want me to dissect it, I will. I haven't seen Excalibur, but if he mentions like the Jesus allegory, I will dissect it because I have my Bible right here next to me. I have my Bible at the ready, just in case he brings it up. Just in case.
Me how Creatures Commandos is peak fiction because of GI fucking robots.
I would say Creature Commandos is peak fiction because of Dr. Phosphorus, because there's a flaming skeleton there. That's all you need to know. There's a flaming skeleton. I'm just kidding. Creature Commandos is like obnoxious. What an obnoxious TV show that is. I dropped it after episode 4. It was just God. It was very obnoxious, that show. It had great animation though. Don't get me wrong. It had very good animation.
I've been telling you all from day one, the DCU was smoke and mirrors. That slate was bullshit. I made tweets about it. I got brain-dead DC fans in my comments on Twitter for it. You're just a hating Snyder bro. Plans change. Gunn is saving DC. Yeah, how?
I mean, yeah, plans change. That's true. That is true. I don't know why. Plans change. Like, changing Superman to Superman Legacy to Superman. That's not a big deal, dude. And canceling the Amanda Waller show, that was probably a good thing because who likes Amanda Waller? Genuinely. No one likes her. So that was a good thing too. So I don't know what it still sucks though. The Superman movie still sucks, and Creature Commando is also pretty terrible, but at least the 4 episodes that I watched, but again, like, that doesn't mean anything. I feel like because I agree that the DCU is in shambles already. I agree. It's just that these are not the points that I would make. These are like very juvenile points. There are better points to make, dude. I think there are much better points you could possibly make. Dude, this is still the intro. He hasn't gotten to the main thing yet. How long is this intro, dude? 6 minutes? This intro is 6 or 7 minutes. Ah, cheeky bastard. A 6-minute long intro for a 10-minute video. Are you kidding me? Maybe he didn't mean it. Oh, he did. Oh, God, dude. A 6-minute intro for a 10-minute video. And he hasn't said anything correct. That's insane.
How's that going? 6 months in, and it's
Okay, I will say I do like this man's humor.
already falling apart like a wet paper bag. Here's James Gunn's entire creative process. Step 1, remake Guardians of the Galaxy. Step 2, change the character names. Step 3, add needle drops. Rinse and repeat. This man is out here.
I feel like there are worse problems than that, but I guess. Like, I don't have a problem with him, doing team-up movies, like, as long as I might not like them. But if they're good, then they're good. So, like, I don't have to like, because like James Gunn, he's not really my style. You know what I mean? His movie, Guardians was good, but it's just not my cup of tea. You know what I mean? I wouldn't rewatch I might rewatch Guardians just for just to enjoy a good movie. But I don't think I'm gonna be like obsessively rewatching it like I would something like Snyder. Because I don't find those movies to be, as interesting as. But that's just me. That's just a personal preference. When it comes to like actual quality, Guardians is good, and he did consult for Infinity War, so he is capable of making good stuff. Thing is, though, like, again, I think a lot of his problems stem from just being terminally online and just not growing up. I think he's a man-child. I think he just cannot grow up. So yeah, like I feel like they're much. I think there are different problems you could be tackling, Dami. But whatever.
Here microwaving the same meal over and over again. And his zombies are always in the comments defending it.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
He says this like he's not consuming Snyder products and then getting excited for the next Snyder product.
Actually, the tone is perfect. Well, he has a good track record. You don't understand his vision. My brother in Christ, he's arguably the most creatively bankrupt artist working today. He does.
No, he is an artist. He is an artist. Like, don't put that in quotations. James Gunn does make art. Just very bad art. But don't you do the same thing with Snyder? Don't you do the same thing? Like the Snyder fans, don't you do the same exact thing? Like I said, you know that Family Guy clip? Children, please, you're both just awful. That's my take on it. I'm not trying to have the centrist take because I will always favor Snyder. But they're both awful.
Doesn't have vision. He has expired leftovers, and I refuse to accept sour milk. I deserve better than that. We all do. 6 or 7 projects have been either delayed or
Ah, he said the thing! He said the thing! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so The Authority was cancelled. Lanterns is still in production. Supergirl is, well, it's coming out. Booster Gold, we have heard nothing about that. This has been delayed several times. Paradise Lost, I have no idea what's happening with that. Swamp Thing is still happening to my knowledge. Waller has been cancelled. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 4. Yeah, 4. Not 6 or 7, 4.
shelved so far.
6, 7.
He did the thing. He did the thing.
I'm sorry. When we pointed this out months ago, they said we were spreading negativity. And now, crickets. Where is all that energy now, you mentally underdeveloped troglodytes? Where is it?
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
David Zaslav literally just wanted to sell the company. He sold you all a dream. And James Gunn was the snake oil salesman who sold you poison. And like the useful idiots that you are, you drank the Kool-Aid. Every last drop.
I like his sense of humor. I don't like some of the insults because they're a bit too try-hard, but I do like his humor. I will say that. He has very good editing too. I will say he's good at editing.
Supergirl is going to be a catastrophic flop. Nobody
I agree. Well, maybe not financially, but it's going to be a narrative mess.
cares for the 4th or 5th installment of Guardians of the Galaxy. And Warner Brothers and DC know it's going to flop. That is why James Gunn panicked and announced Man of Tomorrow, which is basically just a Justice League movie. He has finally realized that he can't rely on less popular characters.
Wait a minute!
Let me get this straight. Y'all spend
Wait, he realized he can't rely on less popular characters, but he's introducing like Lobo in the everybody talks about Lobo, but I have never heard anybody talk about what he is. People just like him for the how he looks and his design and his whole shtick. But like, is Lobo even that pop? Maybe he is, and I could be wrong because I'm more of a Marvel guy than I am a DC guy, so I don't know. But he's introducing Lobo and Supergirl. Oh, and he reintroduced Crypt. Well, no, that was in the past. I don't even think it has anything to do with new, like, less known characters. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Because he's still doing the Swamp Thing movie. So, like, that has nothing to do with it. This is so frustrating because there's so many points that he could make against James Gunn that he just doesn't. This is so frustrating.
spent years complaining that Batman vs Superman was overstuffed. It had too many characters. There was no build-up. It was rushed. And now you're celebrating James Gunn shoving the entire DC universe into a Superman sequel. Make it make sense.
Both are bad. That's my solution. Both are bad.
That movie is also going to underperform. And then what? The DCU will implode. Gunn is going to get fired as DC boss.
Oh, he's gonna do the thing, isn't he? Oh, he's gonna talk about the thing that I wanted to talk about in my video, isn't he? Oh, this is gonna be glorious. Strap in, boys. Strap in.
Warner Bros. Is about to have new owners. It's not a matter of if, but when. Netflix currently has a deal on the table. It's worth just over $27 per share. It's a mix of cash and Netflix stock for WB's studio and streaming assets, while WB sells its cable networks for about $2 to $3 a share. But Netflix stocks has absolutely tanked about 25% since October 2025, which means that the stock portion of the deal is worth much less than it was before. The total value of the deal has dropped below $27 a share. Meanwhile, Paramount Skydance showed up with a hostile takeover bid, an all-cash $30 per share offer for the entire company. And
I don't know much about how any of this works, cause I'm an idiot. But from what I've heard, Paramount has been rejected by Netflix time and time again. So I don't know if that means anything. I just thought it was worth bringing up.
they're not just competing, they are fighting dirty. As of this Monday, January the 12th, Paramount filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers, basically going, "Show me the money!" But this was rejected by a judge yesterday. They were demanding that Warner Brothers disclose the financial details of their deal with Netflix. But wait, here's where it gets really spicy. Netflix are now scrambling and considering a counter-offer with a $30 all-cash bid. No funny money stocks, just pure, cold, hard cash. And now they're also changing their stance on their theatrical window.
Oh, well, isn't that convenient?
Which means Paramount was right this whole time. Their offer was superior. This has really spooked Netflix. But if Netflix actually offers $30 all cash, it would match Paramount's price while keeping the cleaner deal structure, giving
Is he? I have a feeling that I know where this is going. He's probably saying that financially it's going to be better for Netflix if they bring back the Snyderverse, which, no. Like, does anybody know how well Rebel Moon performed? I don't know, because Rebel Moon, I'm not really entirely too savvy on how Netflix acquires its revenue, but like Rebel Moon, let's see what the box office was for Rebel Moon. It had a budget of 166 million. But the actual box office, oh god. Zack Snyder said that if 80 to 90 million accounts watched and assumed 2 viewers per screen, the film would have been over 1.6 billion, which, no, I don't think that's how that works. Like, the math is mathing. Like, I don't even know, because I'm not finding anything. I'm not finding any box office numbers. Like, if we're looking at domestic and international gross, domestic box office not available. That is weird. That is strange. That is bizarre. But I mean, if they're hiding it, then it must mean that it could be a flop, right? Because who else is talking about Rebel Moon to this day? Nobody talked about Rebel Moon besides big name YouTubers, just dissecting it and breaking it down, explaining how terrible it was. So, like, if no one else was talking about it, then surely it must have been some kind of flop. And if it was, then, and even less people were talking about, even less people were talking about, what's it called? Twilight of the Gods. So if even less people were talking about Twilight of the Gods, then no, Netflix is just, no, Zack Snyder is poison to Netflix. He's a money repellent. Let's see Army of the Dead. if we got the box office. So, Army of the Dead had a limited theatrical run, grossing approximately 780,000 to a million against the 70 to 90 million budget. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. I mean, it says that Army of the Dead was a massive hit for Netflix in terms of viewership, but in terms of revenue, that's what I want to know. Because the theatrical run to be like 1 million, even if it was limited, that's still pretty. That doesn't sound that good. If you look at the budget, like 70 to 90 million, and you get 1 million in return, that's bad. That sounds bad.
Netflix the advantage. Paramount would need to make a new offer to beat it. But as of right now, Paramount has the advantage.
What does this have to do with Snyder? Is he going to talk about the thing?
And let's be real for a second. The Snyderverse had soul. It had vision. It treated the audience.
It doesn't have a very moral soul, and its vision was covered in cataracts. And notice how you're talking about the Snyderverse, but not all his other Snyder projects. You're not talking about Rebel Moon. You're not talking about Twilight of the Gods. You're only focusing on your misadapted versions of the DC characters that people generally like. It's only this version.
Like they had functioning brain cells. Every frame looked like it could be in a museum.
It was good looking. That doesn't translate to like narrative quality, dude.
The mythology, the depth.
What do you mean mythology? What do you mean?
But the DCU is out here making Saturday morning cartoons for so-called adults who clap like seals when they see bright colors.
Oh my god. That's funny. I don't think he should have just I feel like he just should have used this image instead of just cutting to music. I think he should have just talked over this image instead of just to land the joke harder. But still, the fact that he used it, I've seen this image before. It's imagine getting hit with that in an argument. Imagine getting hit with that. Oh my god, this guy's on Twitter way too often.
Every Snyder fan who got called toxic, cringe, or cult members, you were right. You were right about the passion. You were right about the artistry. You were right about the void that has been left since Zack Snyder left DC. You were right about the DCU being a scam. You were right about every single thing. While James Gunn's meat writers were writing essays about how Superman 2025 would revive the brand, we all knew that it would do no such thing. The Snyderverse fandom has been through hell. Mocked, dismissed, gaslit, told to move on. But you know what? The Snyderverse is inevitable. We are inevitable because real...
Wow! You guys are inevitable. Okay. The level of pride in this. Like, I wish I had the patriotism for my own country, which is not the US, by the way. I wish I had this level of patriotism to my own country as this guy has for the Snyderverse. This is admirable. This is genuinely admirable. If only.
Art doesn't die. Real vision doesn't fade. Real cinema always comes back. And when Warner Brothers get new leadership, the DCU will implode.
I agree that good art doesn't die. Zack Snyder is not that. Not the real vision. Dude, his vision is just like a murky, decrepit, post-apocalyptic wasteland. Come on.
We all knew it would. They are going to look at the numbers, the engagement, and more importantly, the passion. And if Paramount completes this deal, they're going to be in so much debt that they'll need outside funding for their big projects. And it just so happens that Zack Snyder has the financial backing of the Saudis. They are going to restore the Snyderverse.
What? Saudi Arabia is going to help restore the Snyderverse. What an insane comment. What an absolutely insane take. Do you know, dude, Ben Affleck has moved on. He remarried and re-divorced Jennifer Lopez. Henry Cavill is in Warhammer. God knows what Gal Gadot is doing. Ezra Miller is hopefully in prison. Ray Fisher is possibly the only person that could return to work with Snyder because him and Snyder are buddy-buddy. Jeremy Irons is getting way too old for this kind of stuff. Ray Porter is doing whatever he's doing. I don't know if he's even interested in coming back as Darkseid. Like, do you have any idea? J.K. Simmons is currently working with Amazon and Invincible playing Omni-Man. Dude, none of these people are coming back. Henry Cavill is working with Warhammer right now. That's his new brand. He's already with the Highlander. That's not even mentioning what he's doing with the Highlander reboot. But he's doing his Warhammer shtick. That's his passion right now. Every actor has moved on. If you want to argue that it could come back in some other form, like animated, then fine, and you could possibly find replacements in voice actors, you could. And model the animated versions, be it 2D or 3D, you can model them after the actors, you could, in theory. Jesse Eisenberg is sure as hell not gonna come back. Like, are we serious right now? All the other actors are getting old. They're not gonna come back. If they come, if one of them is coming back, it is probably going to be Ray Porter. That's it. That's the only actor that I can see coming back to, like, the Snyderverse. But this is not happening, dude. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Unless they come back in an animated form, which I would be open to. I mean, even if it's terrible, I would be open to watching it just to, like, make fun of it. But it's not happening, dude. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know, it pains me to say it too. As a fellow Snyder enjoyer, it hurts me to say, but it's just not happening. I'm sorry.
Not because of corporate synergy or focus groups, but because they'll finally realize you can't fake it until you make it. You need real humans supporting your projects, not disingenuous grifters or bots.
See, okay. I don't think these people are grifters. I don't think they're disingenuous either. I just think they're dumb. All it is. Don't assume malice when you can assume ignorance. That's like... But I get it. Snyder fans are resentful because they've been persecuted. Dude, these people remind me of the X-Men. These people are, like, they preach about how, like, anti-mutant bigotry is wrong, but, like, they're the world's biggest hypocrites. That's the Snyderverse cult reminds me of the X-Men in that regard.
So keep fighting, keep posting, keep the Snyderverse dialogue alive. Let them call you crazy, let them cope. But in 6 months, when Supergirl flops, we'll be back here and you'll still be right. The Snyderverse will be restored. Not today, not tomorrow, but inevitably. And James Gunn? Well, he's going to keep reheating his nachos till the end of time. Because that's all he knows how to do. Put the fries in the bag. Don't forget to like if you want to see the Snyderverse return.
Jesus Christ, this level of spite in this video. I love these kinds of videos because they're just so... God, it's like a window into their mind. It's like... It's a fascinating... Tell me where else you see this. Tell me where else you can see this. Like, tell me. You don't see this everywhere. You don't see this with other fandoms. You could say like the M's, like you could say that other stuff like anime, for example. You could in theory say that, but no, you can't say that about everything. Like, you can't say that about everything. There's another video.
There are people who...
There's another video by the Super Real that the Snyderverse is happening. providing evidence. James Gunn Superman is fueling the Restore the Snyderverse movie. I'm reacting to these as I go. I don't have a particular plan in mind. This is just off the dome, really. I'm not doing anything. This is just a fun stream. It's not supposed to be like a super deep stream. It's a fun stream. But if we will get into like deep philosophical stuff if they do talk about it. So, yeah, like, it's not gonna happen. But I'll see. I think I'll watch this one. Hold my DualShock. Hold my DualShock. I will talk about this one. I will watch this one. I will react to this one. Just for funsies. Let's talk. Illuminate me. Hold my DualShock.
Everyone's feelings towards whether or not Zack Snyder will return to continue the Snyderverse. They feel like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's really not. Because James Gunn is clearly fueling the Restore the Snyderverse movement because of his Superman film.
Well, yeah, I think James Gunn's Superman has been the biggest accelerant of people wanting to see Henry Cavill back and some form of a continuation of the Snyderverse.
I will say I have seen that because some people, especially older people, even my mom, I showed the movie, like Superman, to my mom, the James Gunn one. She did not like David Cornsweet at all. Now, personally, I do think he was a good casting, but like I'm not gonna blame her. She utterly adores Henry Cavill. I'm not gonna blame her for that. I think she just likes how he looks, which I mean I can't blame her. I mean, he's a good-looking man. He's like an 11 out of 10, objectively. Like you can't you can't look at Henry Cavill and think, oh, he's not perfect in every way. But like, he's not a bad cast. David Cornsweet, but I understand. But I have seen that sentiment even among like Gen Xers and even Boomers that they just prefer Henry Cavill over David Cornsweet. So like that is a sentiment that I have seen. So that is happening. But that's been around for a while now. That's been around for a while. So it's not a particularly new development.
Yeah.
I think that if you measured the interest in seeing not just Zack Snyder's vision for the DC universe to continue, but also Matt Reeves, I think those both jumped up exponentially.
Slightly off topic, why are they playing Tron footage? Tron Legacy? What does that have to do with like, this is probably a clip from a podcast, the way they're setting up everything. This is probably their theme, is very techno theme, kind of like me. But in the background, I would probably put footage of Superman, like either the 2025 version, or I would put footage of Man of Steel. That's what I would do, but that's just a little nitpick. Anyway, like if they want to do it, it's fine, but that's just not what I would do.
When people finally saw what James Gunn had planned. It's not all bad, by the way. Like when you say that, again, this is one of those disclaimers where people are like, oh, dude, fuck these dudes.
Just haters.
Whenever you have something
haters
that is that stylized, you're going to invite people to say, not for me. And I think a lot of people thought that they wanted a very silly, whenever I say silly, people get upset, but a very lighthearted DCU. And when they finally saw it, I think they missed maybe a little bit of the consequences of other interpretations.
See, that's the thing, right? Because people always assume that if you have if you have a lighthearted movie, you're going to get stripped of the consequences that come with the choices that come with the characters' decisions. But then, how does that explain movies like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, or Toy Story 3, or literally any kids movie that has come out like in the past 100 years? Watership Down is a kids movie. Like the concept of the animals talking, that's usually typically lighthearted. But if you look at Watership Down, that is a grim movie. That is a very grim movie. Animal Farm, the good one, not the bad one. Cinderella, Mulan, The Emperor's New Groove, like there are actual consequences. Like maybe not world-breaking consequences, but there's still consequences. So I don't see how that is ever a mutually exclusive thing. I'm not saying they're saying that necessarily. They might not be, but it is a sentiment that I hear here and there. And it's a very like misguided sentiment if you really think about it. It's a very see, because premise, people assume that premise locks you to certain writing tropes. You are obligated to participate in these tropes, but no, you're not. You have control over how you want the movie to be like. You have ultimate control. So if you don't give the characters consequence, then people are ultimately, if they are thinking, if they're like paying attention or like thinking critically or wanting this to be good, then yeah, no, they're gonna pay attention and be like, yeah, no, this doesn't have any consequence. This isn't worth my time. And yeah, like even subconsciously, people can tell that this is kind of structured like a cartoon. Like, I know this is not going to affect anything in the grand scheme of things. So I get it, but no. Watership Down disrespect will not fly in my chat. I said Watership Down was good. It was grim, it was dark, but I was praising it. I think Watership Down is excellent. Anyway.
Well, I feel like it made people reinvest or want to relook at the past. Well, like, did I judge you too harshly?
I don't think that was necessarily the tone, although I do think that it was present. I do think that the tone is part of it, but I also think it's just because, even though the Snyder movies were cynical, the DCEU Snyder movies, they were extremely cynical, they were at least, not pretending to be anything other than that. They weren't pretending. Because with James Gunn's movies, there was a lot of pretense. If you look at, for example, again, Superman. The movie Superman. That movie, like, it pretends like it's hopeful, and it does the whole like punk rock thing, and it's like, oh, punk rock is the new, like, kindness is the new punk rock, right? You're making it sound like a youth pastor trying to convert kids, you make it sound like that. The thing that I was trying to say about the whole James Gunn thing is that the whole punk rock thing is actually not as good as people think it is. It's actually very cynical when you think about how he approaches the subject of the whole kindness is the new punk rock thing. It's a very cynical view of it. So, like I said previously, I'm going to recap as quickly as I can for those of you that were there, but for those of you that weren't. So, kindness being the new punk rock thing. As I said, being punk is like an inherently rebellious movement. It is rebellious. It deals with rebellion. You're rebelling against the status quo. You're rebelling against any system whatsoever, right? It doesn't really have any particular aim. It's just rebellion for its own sake, right? And so when you turn kindness into that, you're basically assuming that being a jerk is the status quo, which is simply not true. And only somebody who's terminally online could believe that. Everyone is an idiot. Everyone is a jerk, and people are rewarded for being a jerk, which is simply not true. It's just simply not true. Like, if you go outside, you will see people that are kind. People are generally kind. And so, what happens, though, when the rebellious movement becomes the status quo? What happens then? What do? What are you supposed to do when the movement that was meant to overthrow the status quo becomes the status quo? Eventually, people are gonna start being jerks again, because that's you're rebelling against the status quo. It's an endless cycle. It's not at all what Superman would promote. And so, kindness is the new punk rock thing. That's why it falls apart. The message ultimately just falls apart.
James Gunn's also going to be doing a more Guardian style Superman. It was, no, this is the tone moving forward. This is the direction we want to go. Again, there are things that you like if it's an option that you wouldn't pick as your forever thing.
Well, and that's the other thing, because this is not just a James Gunn issue. It would be a Warner Brothers and DC issue. Because when they continue to promote this idea that there is only one version people should like, there's only one version you should enjoy, that there is a correct version, they created this instance where you broke up the fandom and you pushed people against each other so that when this film came out, there were so many stakes. Like, you had to deliver on such a high quality product that I feel like it was never going to make that.
Well,
no, I wouldn't say that. What I would say is, I wouldn't say that the Warner Brothers is forcing anybody to like something particular. I don't think it was a force. I think it was just a response to the Snyderverse, because ultimately that is what the DCU is. It's a response to the Snyderverse. Like, oh, people want hopeful Superman again. They chose the least capable person imaginable to deliver the story, the least stable version, the least stable person they could have possibly chosen to direct a Superman movie. That is the issue here. And having it be one singular vision, again, James Gunn did say that he was planning on Elseworld stories, and because the Batman is still in production alongside Brave and the Bold, you still got options. I mean, we got Joker 2 while the DCU was still like going on. I mean, we got Peacemaker and we got Creature Commandos. Joker 2 came out in between those, or like after those. I don't remember how the order was, but James Gunn's DCU was already beginning. I mean, he says that Superman is a true beginning, but it was already like beginning. So Joker 2 was still a thing, which was terrible, unfortunately, but yeah, no, it was still around. So we also got the Penguin. Let's not forget about the Penguin that came out. So, like, yeah, there's still evidence of that. We still got those projects. So I don't think it's like you have to only choose the one. I don't think that's what. I'm not saying they're saying you have to. I'm just saying that I don't think that Warner Brothers thinks you should only choose the one, because either, no matter what, all the money ends up going to them anyway. So.
Well, they set unrealistic expectations, because so much of building up James Gunn's universe was built on the outright lie that nobody liked Henry Cavill as Superman.
Yes.
What? No. I don't think nobody. Okay, when people said when people levied any criticisms against the Snyderverse, it was never against the actors. The actors were usually the ones that were being praised. People always thought that Henry Cavill was a perfect, like a perfect casting. What are you talking about? And Ben Affleck was another perfect casting. What are you talking about?
It was ridiculous. We even chronicled the media narratives of when it was first announced, like people gleefully being like, "Thank God, no more Henry Cavill as Superman."
When it was first announced that James Gunn was going to be coming to the city.
Yeah.
Don't you think they were associating him with Zack Snyder, and that's what they meant? Because nobody ever thinks that and nobody ever thought, even as far back as 2013, no one ever thought Henry Cavill was a bad casting, ever. So.
And then it's slowly morphing into, actually, Henry Cavill wasn't that bad, to actually he was pretty good. He was just in an imperfect film, to wow, Henry Cavill kind of is Superman. All of that happened just in the time it took for them to bring Superman by James Gunn to life.
No, that was the sentiment even like before the Snyderverse. I mean, the Snyder Cut. That was always the sentiment. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's kind of been the problem that DC's run into with everything they've done. They've created this choice, and people, I think this idea that there's a one-size-fits-all approach for DC Comics is insane. Yeah, it works for Marvel, but dude, it's a different fandom. It's just a different vibe.
Well, it's also a different execution, because from the very jump of Marvel's initiation or birth, they had a plan and they clearly set a standard of what they wanted to give fans. So people only expected that to be the way they were going to enjoy it from the jump. Whereas DC has rebooted multiple times, so you've already initiated your audience into expecting something different.
Yeah, and look.
Marvel, like even though it does have a multiverse, it doesn't really take advantage of it either. Because like if that's what they're saying, then like no, because like I mean you got the Spider-Verse movies. You definitely have the Spider-Verse movies, but you don't. That's all. That's the only other Marvel thing you have, really. Like the Marvel universe doesn't take advantage of its multiverse stories, besides just cameos and just key jangling. I don't think it's that either. I don't think it's that either. The MCU is in shambles. Like you could make the multiverse work, but they just can't. They just can't seem to do it. So, yeah, the interconnection was never the problem. It was how it was handled. Because people always are quick to be like, oh, the interconnectedness is like the sole issue. That is not, that's just a symptom of the problem, if you really think about it. That's just a symptom. Because ultimately, the more narrative issues you have, the more the problems compounds because these narratives are interconnected. But that's not the medium's fault. That's just your fault as a writer for not writing something that's well executed, something that makes sense. That's your fault. That's not the medium's fault. Let's keep going.
There's never been a perfect film. There's a lot of things that I would have done differently if I was running the DCEU, but it was all bad the whole time. That's a ludicrous take.
Yep.
Yeah, is it like the DCU? Is it? Let's see. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League, the Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman in '84, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn, the Birds of Prey, Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle, Black Adam, and I'm missing one. I'm definitely missing one. The Flash. Yes, The Flash. Or as I like to call it, The Trash. Are you absolutely sure those movies, like, they're not all bad? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? At least like Blue Beetle was meh. At least Blue Beetle was like meh, which is the highest praise you can give a DCEU movie. So it's meh.
Retarded.
And in the revisionist history, to try and defend the pivot away and the new direction that James Gunn was going to take the DCU, a direction that I do think was intentionally, I think he was brought in just to try and match what Disney was doing with Marvel.
Yeah, to Marvelize the DC.
And in order to do that, there has been a bit of a campaign to not only tear down everything that Zack Snyder's done, but it was also Matt Reeves.
Yes.
It was David.
Was it? Was it? Because Matt Reeves is fine. The Penguin is like one of the best DC things to come out in recent history. It's been doing fine. Maybe there's information I'm missing. Like maybe there's some behind the scenes drama where like people love Matt Reeves and they don't love James Gunn, and maybe there is something there. But like, really? No. Snyder, yeah. Matt Reeves, no.
David Ayer.
David Ayer has been completely irrelevant since the release of The Suicide Squad. So, like, even before that, he's been irrelevant since before the Snyder Cut. Everybody, release the David Ayer cut. That thing died early. No one cared about the David Ayer cut because, like, the Suicide Squad, no one cared about it conceptually. Like the DC, the comics, they keep trying to make it a thing. No one cares about the Suicide Squad. So and they care even less about Harley Quinn now because she just keeps being pushed and pushed and pushed, and they're tired of seeing Harley Quinn everywhere. So, like, some people aren't, but a lot of people are. So, I don't know what he's talking about.
It was Christopher Nolan. As crazy as it was, there's been people who in the past couple years in trying to stand by this loyalty to James Gunn's vision have come out, and apparently nobody liked the Dark Knight trilogy. Apparently Dark Knight trilogy was always trash, and it wasn't.
It was. That this is not a recent development. People thought it was trash when it came out. This is not a recent thing. This is not new. I don't know what you're talking about.
Comic accurate, and that was the only thing that we've ever graded films on in the comic genre, was how comic accurate they were.
No. People even at the time were judging film based on like internal consistency and like logic and that kind of stuff. That has always existed. Like, maybe he's just not in that space. Maybe he's just not, he's never seen that. But no, that's been a thing for years now, for decades. So, I mean, I was in the whole is this comic accurate space. I'm not gonna say like he doesn't have a point, but like if I could find out that it was that wasn't the only way to judge a movie based on comic accuracy, then. But comic accuracy isn't everything.
There's no interpretations. There's no vision. It's just he made a change, therefore he bad.
Yes.
People who say that are dumb, but I've never seen that. I've never seen anyone like say that about The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. But not even that, the comparison of trying to say is James Gunn as a better director than Christopher Nolan.
Anyone who says that has not watched Christopher Nolan movies. Like you cannot say that. You watch Interstellar and like an Inception and Oppenheimer, 3 of his best movies, and you still come out with that take, then I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. Who are these people surrounding themselves with that they say that? Because I've never heard this before. This is all new to me.
It was these weird associations, these weird comparisons that we were supposed to somehow come out with the idea that like James Gunn is just superior.
They had to sell it as he is the best, not that, hey, there's many different types of DC fans. They want many different things, as cataloged in how diverse DC Comics has been in its entire history. Maybe we don't need a one-size-fits-all thing. Maybe we should have different interpretations of these characters.
But we've been getting that. We've been like Joker 2 and the Penguin have been they came out. I don't while the DCU was still had just begun. I don't know what is he talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. Did we just forget the Penguin happened with how good it was? Did we just forget about that?
Characters.
Yeah.
Filmgirl brings up a great point. DCU tried Marvelizing themselves long before Gunn was on board. 100%. I think that was the first mishap. Was
whoever said that in chat is a genius. Yeah, that is true. They've been trying that. Like they experimented that with Shazam. Look how that turned out. They also did it with Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was meh. It was meh. Not the worst thing in the world, but not the best thing either. Very generic and inoffensive. It wasn't aggressively bad like something like BVS or Wonder Woman 1984 or the first Wonder Woman. Even it wasn't like aggressively bad like the Snyder cut and the Joss Whedon cut. It wasn't aggressively bad like The Flash. It wasn't like furiously bad. It was just like 2014 era type of bad. You know what I mean?
Is trying to be more like Marvel and not realizing there's a quote from Mad Men where somebody says, our competitor's doing this, we should do that as well. And I think Peggy's the one who says, but that would make you second, which is very, very far behind first and essentially a lot closer to last. You do not want to be second.
And 100%, yes. Has DC tried to be Marvel for a very long time?
Yeah,
yes.
It kept failing.
But I feel like James Gunn was the first initial push of them actually getting someone who could do it.
No.
And they failed. and they failed. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still interconnected, so if you want to talk about continuity, then fine. But we were talking about internal consistency and world building. Oh boy. See, I wish the stream didn't just crash on me and I had to start another one, because now, like, new viewers of this stream can't, like, work on the prior context. Don't worry, fans, fellow viewers. I still need to re-upload this. I'm gonna re-upload this as one whole, because in OBS it's still, like, recording as just one thing. So don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Like, the first push was definitely things like Shazam.
Yeah, I guess.
And look, some of those things did all right, but you just saw the diminishing returns. The more they brought in the humor, the more they brought in the quirkiness, the more Whedon it became. I think
they're blaming Whedon again. Whedon did not ruin comedy. It was people that didn't do it right that did it. Come on.
Interest in what was faded, and then you had this kind of no man's land where it's not Marvel enough to make Marvel fans happy. It's no longer DC enough to make the fans of, like, you know, the Christopher Nolan.
Oh, they were playing Dune 1984 in the background. That movie sucks. I hate it.
Zack Snyder vision of DC happy.
100%.
And so you just had this compromise that nobody wanted to compromise. They just wanted to see something finished and then bring in the next thing.
And I would even say, because of James Gunn's Superman, I feel like there's a complete shift in, like, what the audience wants in their superhero films, which is why you saw a huge influx of people watching Man of Steel on HBO Max again.
Doesn't that typically happen for new installments, like, just in case? Doesn't that typically I don't know if that is a new phenomenon. Sea Monster says, from a certain point of view, DC did succeed at being like the Marvel, just not Marvel circa phase 1 through 3. Yeah, it ended up being the worst parts of Marvel the moment Superman came out. It had phase 4 problems the second, like, their version of phase 1 started, so. That's insane to me. How do you even manage that? That's insane.
And then a huge influx of people saying that even though they weren't huge fans of the Batman, they were like, I'm super excited to see what happens with Batman Part 2 because of how much they liked the Penguin.
I think a lot of people believe that the Marvel hype, that the fun would just never stop. And it's one of those things you don't realize until you're sick of something, you're sick of it, right?
Again, the problem has never been the tone or the premise. It has been the writing. The writing. Again, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Any animated Disney movie ever made from the years 1980 to 2010, 12, 13, 14, 15. Around that era. Like, come on, dude. Any animated DreamWorks movie. Come on, dude.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you think about your favorite restaurant, when you outgrow it or you get tired of it, the day before you were probably still recommending it to people, but then you go and you eat it and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I'm kind of done.
And you start to think, like, how long have I been over this? How long have I been forcing myself, trying to convince myself I still wanted this? And I think that was the case with the Marvel formula. I just think it hasn't worked in a while.
Again, not the premise. Premise is not the problem. It is the execution. See, like, these people in particular, like, and Minecraft World said it, they are still close. They are vague posting, but they are really, really close to the answer. But they just they're like, keep going.
There are people who see this.
Keep going. Keep going. Yes, you're getting to the point. Yes. Oh, it's the formula. No. They just go complete 180 from. They're just so close to the point, and then they just miss it. They just miss it. They're so close. Anyway, one last video and then we'll end it for today. I am begging someone to talk about... I did not bring my Bible for nothing. Okay? I did not put it next to me for nothing. Please talk about the allegories. I'm begging you. Someone please talk about it. About the Jesus allegory. I'm begging you. Please. Please, please, please. Someone. Last video for today. The super real. Please. Please talk about it. Super real. Please mention it. The Snyderverse is coming back. Here's all the evidence. Why is the audio not playing? That's weird.
Anti-life is found, Assad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it. Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
I really like his sound design for... I really do like the sound design for his voice.
Alright guys, we are back with another video. So I do think the Snyderverse is returning, you guys. Follow my...
What's the... Why would you have that shot? Why would you have that? That's a strange shot to have. I wouldn't have... There's nothing here. You're off center. Why would you have this shot? There's nothing to see here in the external... Whatever.
Follow my train of thought throughout this video. I do think no matter who gets it, Netflix or Paramount, Zack Snyder is coming back. And here's all the evidence. Welcome. My name's Zach. Come on in, grab a seat. We're talking the Snyderverse today. And if this is your first time to the Super Real, we're glad to have you. And it must be your lucky day because you just found your next favorite channel. Alright you guys, so let's talk about Netflix first. Since they currently are the front runners, even though I do think Paramount is planning something big. But like I said in the past, Netflix were the ones who teased the Snyderverse returning first. They're the ones who posed a question who would win Black Adam or Superman. And it was Henry Cavill Superman. Netflix are the ones who, in their new promotion for WBD, has the Snyderverse front and center, you guys.
They have so many things front and center. They have Wake Up Dead Man, they have Bridgerton, they have Stranger Things. Right now, they were pushing Stranger Things because of their final season. So, like, I don't
You see the Snyderverse, you see the theatrical version of the Justice League, and you even see the Matt Reeves Batman, but you do not see James Gunn's DCU anywhere. And I've said this before, it would have been less controversial if you saw the James Gunn DCU projects because he's currently in charge of DC right now. But you don't see Creature Commandos, you don't see Peacemaker, and you definitely don't see Superman 2025. All of those projects are on HBO Max, but
Zack Snyder and Netflix have an alliance of sorts. They love each other. So, like, yeah, like, I guess that makes sense why they're there. I don't know what to tell you. I guess they would take preference because of that, but would that mean anything? No, not necessarily. Anything could happen, really. But do you really believe that's evidence? Really? Usually when people analyze evidence, there's usually a paradigm behind it. So because, like, there is no, like, brute facts that are self-interpreting, you need a lens by which to interpret the fact. Maybe the lens that he's using is specifically designed to be used as evidence that Zack Snyder is coming back. But there's just so many contrary evidence as well.
but they do not appear in this promotional work right here. I believe that's intentional. It's not like any of these projects are currently on Netflix. This piece of clip art was created just for this, and I think they're trying to let us know something. Nothing here is by accident, you guys. We also know that Netflix has...
That's their favorite thing to say too. Whenever Snyder posts something, they always say nothing here is by nothing that he posted by accident. It's always intentional. Everyone says it about every Snyder project that has ever come out ever. It's all intentional.
Has a great relationship with Henry Cavill because of the Witcher show.
No, they don't. Netflix, dude, Henry Cavill hates Netflix, and rightfully so, because like they wanted to make changes to the lore, and he was super enthusiastic about it, and his enthusiasm was contagious, and the actors really liked him for it. He was very respectful on set, but the producers and the directors didn't like that, and so because Henry Cavill refused to like allow them to change the lore and refused to allow them to alter anything about The Witcher, eventually he was fired and he was recasted with Liam Hemsworth as Geralt of Rivia. That's why he left The Witcher. They have a terrible relationship with Henry Cavill. That's not true at all. Henry Cavill rightfully hates Netflix. Something similar happened with Amazon and the Custodes, because Amazon wanted to push for female Custodes for the upcoming Amazon show, but Henry Cavill pushed back against it, and Games Workshop tried to do damage control. They did ultimately end up introducing a new female Adeptus Custodes, but I haven't heard any news about what Henry Cavill's reaction to that was, but Henry Cavill was threatening to walk if they make any like definitive changes, and they just refuse to back down. So, yeah, like Henry Cavill does not have a good relationship with Netflix. Not after Witcher season 3. No.
No one watched The Witcher after Henry Cavill left. He was the main draw for The Witcher. It was definitely a downgrade with the actor they chose after he left. I think he's like the Hemsworth brother. And yes, some James Gunn fans are going to say that Netflix has a negative relation with Zack Snyder because of Rebel Moon and some of his other projects. But
is that confirmed? Because they did allow him to make Twilight of the Gods right afterwards.
But to that, I will say they know his DC makes money because it made so much money, and they are in the business of making money.
BVS flopped. BVS flopped. I don't know what to tell you.
And they know his DC makes money. I don't care about Rebel Moon. I care about Zack Snyder as far as it relates to DC content.
See, so he's straight up admitting it. Okay. See, at least he's honest. All right, so at least he's honest with himself. He's not going to, but it's funny too, because he's not going to include Rebel Moon because it proves his point wrong, and he's not going to talk about Twilight of the Gods either, because no one talked about that. Only like some fringe YouTubers talked about it, and it was only to talk about Thor. That's it. Everyone loved Thor. Everybody who talked about Twilight of the Gods only talked about Thor. No one liked Army of the Dead. Nobody talked about Army of Thieves. And no one talked about Twilight of the Gods, except when they talk about how cool Thor was. Rebel Moon, people only trashed on it. So I don't see. He's not gonna mention it because it's gonna prove his point wrong.
They know he's a massive draw, and I do think they would bring him on to continue like a Man of Steel 2 or Justice League 2 and 3, just continue his vision. Now, out of both companies, Netflix and Paramount, I do think Netflix would be more likely to keep James Gunn on than Paramount. Netflix could potentially have two concurrent universes going. Maybe Zack Snyder stuff is going straight to streaming while they keep James Gunn stuff in theaters for the time being, or what have you. But if you're a James Gunn fan, I think you may want to bank on Netflix, hopefully keeping both things going. But I do think in some capacity we will see Henry Cavill return. And even if you're a James Gunn fan, I think you have to admit that Henry Cavill Superman is the most untapped potential in this whole superhero genre over the
That is true.
last like 20 years. This guy as Superman has not gotten his full day in the sun. He has not reached his full potential, and I think every executive knows that. Henry Cavill,
because he's had very poor direction. That's why.
Cavill can be the next massive box office draw for superhero movies, and I think a lot of people know that. I mean, there have also been rumors that Netflix does want to go with a more serious tone as well, and that doesn't seem to fit James Gunn's style. James Gunn really makes movies that are family friendly, and there's definitely a place for that.
No, he doesn't. Like, not exclusively. Like, if the MCU allowed Guardians of the Galaxy to be rated R, he would absolutely take that opportunity. Like, he makes raunchy movies, not family friendly. He makes raunchy comedy movies. He doesn't make like with elements of seriousness in them. So it's not family friendly movies. No. His first movie was a slasher horror. Well, not a slasher. It was a horror movie. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I really. Peacemaker, The Suicide Squad, if I remember correctly, that movie was rated R. Yeah, that movie was rated R. I don't. Peacemaker was rated TVM, I think. I think that's what it's called, the rating.
In any universe, but he doesn't really make serious movies, in my opinion. But who knows?
In his opinion, okay. So a guy being ripped apart by a shark, that's not serious. I mean, you can not take it seriously, but you don't think so a shark ripping a man in half. That's not like, that's family friendly. Okay. That's a take.
Really think if Netflix was serious about James Gunn, they would have at least put him in that promotional art. That's just my personal opinion, you guys. But moving on to the juicy Paramount stuff. So yeah, you guys, recently, just a couple days ago, Larry Ellison just made that personal guarantee of $40 billion for the WBD bid. And the bid in total is worth $108 billion. Every step of the way, Paramount is trying to answer any questions WBD may have. They were worried that their finances weren't as secure. They were worried the money wasn't really secure. And what did Paramount do? All they did was secure the money, saying, hey, is 40 billion secure enough for you? I don't.
This video feels very long, and it's only 9 minutes. We're only like 3 minutes in. This video feels very long, despite the very fast pace. I don't know what it is.
I don't think that's a bank loan. I think that's Larry Ellison's personal wealth. He's also opened up the family trust so everyone can see what's inside, and he's worth upwards of $230 billion. I've said this before, if you're trying to go band for band with Larry Ellison, you're just gonna lose that. Not many people can win that. He's the third richest guy on the planet. Netflix has already taken several bank loans to get this far, I'm pretty sure, so Paramount is looking pretty solid right now. I do think WBD is gonna reject Paramount's offer, but once they come up to like $32, $33 a share, I think Paramount's gonna get it. But what's interesting about Paramount is that Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries are also coming in with Paramount on their bid. So
that's another thing that came out of left field. That was in the previous video, for those that were in the stream prior to this new stream. But that just completely came out of left field, and people started saying, "Oh, because Saudi Arabia is involved with this bidding war, they're going to try to help restore the Snyderverse." Why? Why would they do that? Like, it would be funny if it did, and I kind of want it to be true, but like, why? Why?
The Middle East has roughly around $24 billion invested in that overall $108 billion Paramount bid. And Zack Snyder is continuing to post pictures with Turki Al-Sheikh. If you guys do not know who Turki Al-Sheikh is, he is the guy who's on the chair of the General Entertainment Authority for Saudi Arabia. He's the guy you go through to get that UFC deal. He's the guy you go through to get that EA Sports deal. He's the guy you go through to get that Live Golf deal, you guys. And now they have their hands in the Paramount bid to try to get a slice of the pie of WBD. And
assuming that's true, which I can't confirm that it is, even if you wanted to say that's true, how does that translate to the Snyderverse being restored? That's a complete non sequitur.
Know that Saudi Arabia prefers the Snyderverse. This was already reported on earlier.
Saudis want to rival Marvel with Snyderverse level event. Snyderverse level event does not necessarily mean Snyderverse. Unless we get like a strong confirmation that yes, the Snyderverse is being restored. Unless we get like a strong verbal confirmation, this means nothing.
Earlier in the year, they view Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan as the only two directors capable of making grand epics in this modern mythology. And I'm telling you guys, once the Odyssey does numbers, and that trailer looks absolute peak, once the Odyssey does numbers, everyone's going to be looking at the Snyderverse, you guys. The Odyssey is going to make the James Gunn stuff look very cartoony, very childish, very just made for kids, right? When the adults are the ones going to theaters. At least in the superhero genre is mainly adults. But Zack Snyder keeps continuing to post pictures, and I'm loving it. Like, so he just posted a picture of Henry Cavill in the Christopher Reeve Superman suit, which was epic. He posted a picture of the test suit for Man of Steel, and you can really zoom in and see the detail, and I love that Man of Steel suit. And I think he's only doing this because he knows something. I think he knows that he can't lose either way. I think he's hearing things behind closed doors, but he's not saying anything, and I actually prefer that. I don't like how accessible James Gunn has made himself to his fans and how overexposed he is. And
what do you even respond? How do you even respond to this? I mean, like, I do agree. Like, again, James Gunn is terminally online and has said a lot of stupid stuff. But how do you even respond to that? Genuinely. What do you say to this kind of cope? Snyderverse denial syndrome. This is what this is. This guy has STD. Like, he will have to interpret anything he does. Like, unless there is like a definitive statement that you can make, a definitive, objective claim that the Snyderverse is being restored. Because again, you have to take into account, would the actors even be willing to do that? Because the actors are the main draw. if they don't want to do it, then they're not. How do you restore the Snyderverse without the cast that the people want to see? I don't think people care about Ezra Miller too much. But Henry Cavill would be the draw. What would Henry Cavill actually come back? And if he would, what would be his incentive? Because again, he is currently invested in Warhammer. Ben Affleck has a bunch of stuff going on. Gal Gadot is MIA currently. Maybe she could return? I don't know. Ray Fisher is the only actor that, if the Snyderverse is restored, Ray Fisher is the only actor that could, in theory, come back. That's the only one. That is it. Everyone else, either a giant question mark or a giant X. Jeremy Irons. Jesse Eisenberg. Who wants Jesse Eisenberg to return? Like, there has to be a demand for it. How big is that demand? Vocality, is that a word? Screw it, I don't care if it's a word. How vocal you are, vocality, does not translate to numbers when it comes to demand. How vocal you are does not translate to demand. Like actual, because like if you made a census, how many people want like a demand? Like how many people like actually want the Snyderverse to return? Like if you actually made a census, how would the numbers look? That's how you would have to measure these things, not possibilities. All you have is possibilities.
And I don't think he likes it anymore. He's already told his fans to stop using the word we, as in we need this or we want this, like speaking for everyone. He's told his fans to start using the word I. It's because it's getting annoying, I'm telling you. He's putting himself in a situation where you can't please everyone, but yet everyone thinks that their opinion is going to be heard by James Gunn because he's all over X and he's all over Threads or whatever. It's gonna come back to bite him, but I think his ego needs to be out there. He needs to be like tweeting and looking like the face of everything. I don't know. But Zack Snyder's like every other normal director. I mean, maybe he'll do an interview here and there, but he's just gonna post pictures. Everything's behind closed doors, and he's gonna keep his mouth shut. It's like, you know, pretend like you've been here before. But we do know that Paramount wants to target America, middle America, and to target a wide variety of people, a more general audience, and I think that leads itself to Zack Snyder. Paramount has said they want American fare, and that is Zack Snyder. That's not James Gunn. That's Zack Snyder. I think James Gunn is gone if Paramount gets it, and they're just gonna bring back Zack Snyder until he finishes his vision, and then they'll just reboot. But
Again, why would he do that? Makes no sense.
Zack Snyder is the one who posts on Veterans Day, not James Gunn. Zack Snyder is the one who, in his Instagram bio, it says husband, father, filmmaker, American.
Don't you think that's a grift? Don't you think that's a grift? If not, then like, how long has he had that? How long has he had that? Like, if you go look back at his like Instagram, I don't have Instagram, but like, you look back at this, how long has he had those things on? How long has he? Because like, it's true, like the culture war thing, like the culture tide has changed. That is true, and Zack Snyder has always been like a more liberal kind of guy, but really, how long has he had this? Probably, I don't know. Do you know? Because like, how long he's had this will ultimately determine whether you could count that as evidence or not. I doubt he knows, because I certainly don't know, but I doubt he knows. You have to be obsessively looking at his page and cataloging and like chronicling every single thing he does at all times. You would have to be, but then again, because this is the Snyderverse cult, I wouldn't put it past them to do this. I really wouldn't put it past them.
Period, point blank. That is who Paramount wants. That's who's gonna play ball for Paramount. You know, you got James Gunn saying truth, justice, whatever.
What?
As if his Superman ever said truth, justice in the American way. I really do not think Zack Snyder can lose either way. I think Netflix favors him, and I think Paramount favors him. Or at the very least, both those companies would prefer a Henry Cavill Superman. Because Henry Cavill Superman is just more adult, it's just more action-packed, and his Superman appeals to more people worldwide. The box office.
Again, okay, that's subjective. like whatever people think about. I mean, yes, like people's subjective take on Superman, at least Henry Cavill, will inform a demand. But right now, there's not a huge, massive demand for the Snyderverse, or by extension, Henry Cavill. This is just the fans, specifically, not a general... Because the general audience is to be considered. Because the general audience watches movies too. It's not just the fans.
Office numbers confirm that. Just look it up. They sold more tickets. The world needs Henry Cavill back as Superman. He was just perfect in that role. He hasn't reached his full potential, and he could make $1 billion movie if it's done right. But what do you guys think about all this? Who do you think is going to get WBD? Do you think it's going to be Netflix, or do you think it's going to be Paramount like I do? I want Paramount to get it because I like their vision for the future. I like their vision for movies, their vision for TV shows, and I like movies staying in theaters. Netflix, if Netflix gets it, is going to be the death of theaters. But as far as this concerns Zack Snyder, I do think he's in a win-win situation. I think there is evidence on both sides of the ball that points towards Zack Snyder. The fact that James Gunn's contract was only extended until like the end of Man of Tomorrow is still not a good sign. His contract was only extended for 6 months. But like I said, Netflix may keep James Gunn on just to make the most money. But
that is true, like on James Gunn's side in particular, because like it is true, like Superman did not perform as well as Warner Brothers would have wanted. That is true. So like Supergirl might make or break it, and if it does, then he might get fired. That is true. But that does not. How does that translate to? How does that translate to the Snyderverse is coming back? It really doesn't. Now I know I said that this was like the last video, but I promise it's gonna be like the last one. I promise this is gonna be the really the last one. Promise, pinky promise. Pinky promise. Zack Snyder just reminded everyone what we lost with his Superman.
We're back, you guys, and Zack Snyder just posted a really cool picture of Henry Cavill Superman. He is reminding everyone exactly what we lost in his version of Superman. I mean, look at this guy's suit. I love Zack Snyder's vision for super suits. I mean, this suit is absolutely cherry, you guys.
Catch my dive in the water. Cherry.
Henry Cavill was born to play Superman. The guy looks the part, he acts the part. He's stoic, he's strong, he's hopeful. I've said it before, this is the Superman I'm calling if the world is at stake and we need someone to save us all. I'm calling Henry Cavill Superman. But
yeah, he's gonna make it worse. Thanks, Superman. There's a villain destroying attacking the city, and he's on his way to steal from the bank. Oh well, Superman arrives. Thanks, Superman. Now there's a crater where my bank used to be. Thanks.
Let's look at the caption to this Instagram post. It reads, 14 years ago today, we shot the final frame of Man of Steel. Some films stay with you, this one always will. And there you have it, you guys. Some people are out there saying that Zack Snyder has moved on, and I think you guys are not paying attention to
He's moved on.
His actions. What more do you want the guy to do? What more do you want the guy to say? It's like if you had a girlfriend and you broke up with her and all you do is post on Instagram old pictures of her and old pictures of you and her together, clearly you haven't moved on. This guy very much wants to direct another DC project. Just look at his actions. All he's doing is posting DC content. Well, not all he's doing, but there are so many photos. They all get tons of likes and people are here for it. But golly.
Doesn't Twitter and what's it called? Doesn't Twitter and Instagram monetize your post at a certain point if you have a big enough following? I know Twitter does. I don't know if Instagram does, but I know that Twitter does at some point. So if he knows that this DC stuff is gonna get the most clicks and not his general movies, which he does do like other movies besides DC stuff, but if he knows this, then what incentive would he have to post stuff that isn't DC related if all you guys do is dissect it and repost it and like it? What incentive would he have to post anything but DC stuff, considering all the traction he gets? Have you ever thought about that? If it's like Instagram, then I would have a harder time arguing with Instagram because I don't know if Instagram does it, but I know that Twitter does it. So, knowing that Twitter does it, then why wouldn't he? Like, it's economically sound. It's economically like it's better for him. He can earn like some passive income with Twitter. So yeah, like I don't know what to tell you, man.
Henry Cavill just has so much aura, and aura to me is a term of endearment. This is my Superman, you guys, and I think a lot of people want to see him come back as Superman. I really think someone needs to just restore the Snyderverse. You can have it as an Elseworlds if you want, and that may even be for the best. You can appease both fan bases, the James Gunn fans and the Zack Snyder fans, and you can actually see head to head who is getting more eyeballs, who's making more money. It would be pretty cool, but we really have to see the ending of Zack Snyder's vision. We're just left on such a cliffhanger, and Darkseid looks badass, you guys.
So the ending of the Snyderverse, if I recall correctly, so Superman, while he was dead, Batman had an affair with Lois Lane. Got her pregnant. Bruce Wayne hesitates to save her. So that's why Joker in the nightmare sequence, he goes, "You let her die." That's what pushes Superman over the edge, and Darkseid uses his despair to infect him with the anti-life equation and make him his knight. For his nightmare. Get it? At first it was like Green Lantern that was involved, but then at first it was like Hal Jordan, but then he became Jon Stewart. He did get casted. What else? And it was supposed to be him that met him, not Martian Manhunter. But then that would make the setup for Martian Manhunter not make any sense, so that's why it was completely discarded. At least that's my theory. What else? Time travel. The cosmic treadmill. So it was the second movie was basically like a race. Okay, the third movie was like a race against time. And they had to get to the cosmic treadmill to go back in time and warn Bruce and BVS about Superman, change the timeline. So then Batman, is more prepared, and he unifies the Justice League to wage war against Darkseid, and the whole world becomes a Justice League, and Batman sacrifices himself to save the world. And yeah, I know that in the second movie it's like a little bit more down to earth, where the Justice League is just doing its thing, saving people, this and the other. Jesse Eisenberg discovers the anti-life equation, gives it to Darkseid. I know that Riddler discovers it as well, and he kills himself because of it, which is weird. It's a mess. It's a mess. We might react if one of the co-hosts of Blackscreen, Braden, if he shows up and he wants to do a reaction to like the animated version of this, I will happily do that. But because there's like an animated version of the storyboards already, but yeah, it is a mess overall. It's just a mess of a story. It's so edgy too. Yeah, Batman had an affair with Lois Lane. Okay.
Anti-life is found, Desaad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it. Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
Like, that is a big bad. That is like a $1 billion movie waiting to happen. I mean,
Darkseid is an idiot. So he forgot the planet. Okay, so let's lay out the groundwork. So the anti-life is on Earth, right? He went to the one planet where he had the anti-life equation, right? He found it on Earth. He wanted to have the Unity take place to terraform the planet into the image of Apocalypse. He put his sorcerers in the front lines without any sort of protection, while Darkseid did the bare minimum to like defend them. He got shot with an arrow and hit with an axe. That was enough to defeat him, and he scurried away like a little baby boy. The sorcerers were shot, and according to Zack Snyder, much time has passed since Darkseid was in a position of power again, and by the time that happened, all the people that were there to witness the battle for Earth were killed. But then everybody knows the story of the Defiance, but no one remembers that the Earth was the place where the anti-life equation was. So on top of being a coward and a baby, Darkseid's an idiot. He just forgot that the anti-life equation, the most important thing he could ever want, was on Earth, even though like the story of the Defiance is well known. Okay.
You look at Darkseid and you just see dollar signs. And I know Zack Snyder stuff was darker.
I don't see dollar signs. I see Down syndrome.
And gritty, but I'm okay with that. And I think a lot of people are okay with that. I mean, just look at the success of the Absolute Universe right now. It's dark.
The Absolute Universe is not succeeding because the tone is darker. Most Batman stories are dark. People like the Absolute Universe because it's well written. And it's also just ludicrous in a lot of aspects. Bane is a literal giant. Have you guys seen Bane, an absolute Joker? The insanity of the Absolute Universe. But it's not just because it's dark. It's appealing because it's dark. There's a lot of appeal in the darkness, but it's also just the insanity of it too. But it's also because it's like a genuinely good story. At least Absolute Batman is. I don't know about the other super Absolute entries, but I know Absolute Batman is.
It's grittier and everyone's buying it. DC hasn't been this popular in so long. Just look at the top 50 comic book sales of 2025 by unit.
It's always Batman. It's always Batman. So there's Marvel, DC, Deadpool, and Batman. Batman, the new one. DC, Marvel, Batman, and Deadpool. Invincible, the new Battle Beast comic. DCKO, Batman, Hush, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Flash here, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Martian Manhunter, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Batman, Ultimate Wolverine, Absolute Batman, Amazing Spider-Man, Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Evil, one shot. They're all Batman. It's not like a DC thing. It's just Batman.
It is just riddled with Absolute Universe stuff, and mostly Absolute Batman, which is the darkest of all the Absolute stuff going on right now. So yeah, I think the general audience is really here for a darker, more serious tone, you guys. And I also think
Absolute Batman is not exclusively just dark, it's also just ludicrous. And yeah.
Snyder had the perfect trinity. I mean, Henry Cavill, Superman, Ben Affleck, Batman, and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
That's the holy trinity to you? That woman cannot act to save her life, dude. She cannot act. Come on, man.
That is unbeatable, in my opinion. I mean, Batman's older, a little hardcore. I'm okay with that. Wonder Woman is absolutely perfect. And Henry Cavill...
Perfect. Okay. Alright. Perfect. She's a Zack Snyder turned her into like a mass murderer in the Snyder cut. Not at all Patty Jenkins, that was her last name. Not at all Patty Jenkins design, by the way. But yeah.
Cavill just nails Superman and Clark Kent. I mean, we really see him as an actual reporter, and I love that aspect of him.
The police won't help. The press has to do the right thing. You don't get to decide what the right thing is. When the planet was founded, it stood for something, Perry.
He's a great person. He's a great son. I mean, all the
a great person who committed genocide.
Supermen are really great people and great sons, but I think Henry Cavill's Clark Kent really...
A great son. Like, imagine going up to your mom, who's like your adoptive mother. You've known your whole life, you loved her your whole life, and you're like, "Hey mom, I found my parents." I found my parents, Martha. Yeah, great son. You're not my dad, you're just a guy that found me in a farm. No, my superpowered son, do not save me.
He sets him apart from a lot of other Supermen. I think he's right under Christopher Reeve in terms of his Clark Kent, but I really truly believe that
wow,
Zack Snyder wants to come back and get involved with DC in some way, shape, or form. I think his stuff would make a lot of money, you guys. I mean, Man of Steel back in 2013 made $670 million. And I think a Man of Steel 2 right now would do way more than that. I mean, I think it would make more than $616 million like James Gunn's Superman made.
Notice how they're not talking about like the actual quality of the plot, the quality of like the writing, but they're talking about the money that could be earned from it, which like it could incentivize companies, which no. But I'm not even going to focus on the money part because like the money part's not my area. sorry, of expertise, but this is like, I guess this is him appealing to like the companies who, he's basically saying, oh, see, companies, these movies are successful. They're not, but these movies are successful. There's like an appeal for that. We want that, so like it makes a lot of money, you guys. But they're not gonna talk about like the narrative quality. They're only gonna talk about like the themes and the things that Zack Snyder thinks he understands, and be like, oh, look how deep. Look, the angels come from below, and the devils come from the sky. So deep, so deep.
Henry Cavill is a leading man in Hollywood. Henry Cavill is that guy. I mean, I'm not certain we'll get a Snyderverse return, but I do think we'll get a Snyderverse return in some capacity. And I don't want the animated stuff. I just want live action, big budget stuff, just like before. And I know
I haven't, dude. Okay, listen, I understand, but you have to consider: would the actors even be open to that? The animated stuff, if you wanted to restore the Snyderverse, the thing that would make the most sense is animated. And if you really, really, really want the live action stuff and you know that you can't have it, then 3D animated, kind of like Arcane. That would be the that would be the best option you could have. Zack Snyder has worked with animation before. Owls of Ga'Hoole is a thing. Twilight of the Gods is a thing. It's not impossible. It's just not likely. But if you wanted to, that would be your go-to. That should be your go-to, honestly. Because that's like the most realistic option. But no, they're going with the most unrealistic option.
Jason Momoa is playing Lobo and other people are doing other projects, but everyone would come back for that bag, you guys. It's not that.
How do you know that? You don't know that. You think that actors are solely driven by money? You don't think they're actual people that would have a lot more integrity than should just come back to a dying ship? Actors are people too. They wouldn't want it just for the money. Like, they're not soulless. Henry Cavill is possibly the least likely person to return, solely because of that. Because he's not interested in the money exclusively. Like, he cares about what he does. Just look at The Witcher.
Complicated. And we can leave Ezra Miller out back. No one wants him back. Chill out, you guys. And as far as Queen Mira is concerned, I completely forgot about her.
I completely forgot about Amber Turd. Let's see what he says. I'm actually excited.
Really like torn on this. I mean, she was fine in Aquaman 1, but we do know that Amanda Heard, like, her reputation in the public at large is
Amanda Heard. I think he meant to say Amber Heard.
just not that good, so I don't know if bringing her back would be for the best. But Zack Snyder did post a recent picture of her too, so who knows? And of course, we have to talk about Jared Leto. I mean, this guy has been box office poison, but I really did like him in Tron Ares, and
oh god, he thinks Tron Ares is good. Oh no. Oh no.
I really did enjoy him in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. I mean, like, the 5 minutes we had of him in that movie was better. I mean, heads and shoulders.
Why? What was the draw? He said a bunch of edgy lines, then laughed like a goose. Why?
Shoulders over like what he did in the Suicide Squad. They got rid of the face tats. They gave him long hair. I was really digging the vibe. His dialogue was great.
I've been dead inside a long time.
Ow. The Edge. I've been dead inside a lot. Dude, Zack Snyder should go back to Wattpad.
Even I have a limit. And if you cross that line, I swear to God,
Before what, Bruce?
Kill me? You don't want to kill me. I'm your best friend.
Where are his eyebrows? This is very distracting. I'm your best friend. This is creepy and not in a good way. This feels very homoerotic and I don't like it. It feels creepy. Not in a good creepy, but like, I don't know how to explain it.
Besides, who's gonna give you a reach around?
See what I mean? What I mean about homoerotic? What do you mean give you a reach around? Oh. You think this is the universe? Like, do you think Batman actually got raped in this universe by him? The Jackester, I think it was Jackester. I don't know which YouTuber did this. I don't remember. I think it was Jackester. That animation, like, Batman gets raped in prison. You think that actually happened?
If you bring Jared Leto back and he plays the Joker that way, the same way he did in the Snyder Cut, that could probably revive his career. Or at the very least, he'll make a quick buck out of it. But I just think this photo is great. I think Zack Snyder cares a lot about the Superman character.
Notice how, like, he didn't say anything at all. Like, nothing of substance. Just reminded everyone what we lost. What did we lose exactly? Are you gonna... We're like 5 minutes in out of the 7-minute video. Are you gonna explain it or no?
I think he cares a lot about DC. A lot of people try to say otherwise, but I just don't buy it, you guys. You can't tell me this guy doesn't love DC and wants the best for DC. I'll say this, the way Justice League 2 and 3 sound, it really seems like those movies could have made $1 billion in the box office. I mean, Justice League 2 is pretty much Darkseid conquering Earth, right? Lois Lane dies, and then Superman is susceptible to the anti-life equation. He gets taken over by Darkseid. We get a little version of Injustice. Super serious, super adult. It would sell, especially in...
Adult. Okay. This is more adult. Nothing screams adult than saying who's gonna give you a reach around to Batman in a movie where a director had said that Batman would be raped in prison. Nothing says adult like I've been dead inside a long time ago. Nothing says adult more than no man, this guy came down to deliver me from daddy's fists and abominations. Nothing screams adult much like that does. Like, why did you say that name? Nothing screams adult like that.
Today's all bright, cute, and cuddly Hollywood. I think people are ready to go back to something serious. And in Justice League 3, we see our team win, and he describes it as like the whole world becoming the Justice League. He says every nation's armies are inspired by Superman, and every nation gets together to fight the army of Darkseid. That just sounds epic. The whole world becomes the Justice League, you guys. Everyone rallying behind Superman.
Fucking cherry.
A version of Superman who's not afraid of being truth, justice, in the American way, the way he was originally intended to be.
How do we know you won't one day act against America's interests?
I grew up in Kansas, General.
The scene is funny. Why would he say that? Why would he dox himself like that? Why would you... See, it's funny because the whole point of destroying the drone was to try and see if, like where he lives. And then he just straight up tells him. Like, he just straight up... He doesn't want them to know where he lives. But he just straight up tells him that's where he lives. Why?
About as American as it gets.
Yeah, no one can convince me Zack Snyder stuff wouldn't make money right now. And if we start talking about Batman films, I think Matt Reeves' Batman, James Gunn potential Batman Brave and the Bold would all come behind a solo Ben Affleck, Zack Snyder Batman movie. I think if all 3 of those movies hit theaters, the Ben Affleck Batman movie would do the most numbers. But this was a quick video, you guys. It's like 2 a.m. where I am right now, but he just posted this photo and I had to get down here and record. What do you...
This was posted 12 hours ago. I 100% believe him. I believe him 100%. So this was all I wanted to do. Like, I'm honestly kind of disappointed because I wanted to do the whole, like, I wanted to see if anybody was going to bring up, like, the Jesus allegory. I had my Bible at the ready, too. That's a shame. I really wanted to do that. Because this was just a bit of a filler stream. Nothing too serious. I just wanted to have some fun with the Snyderverse because, like, I have been seeing it popping up again, like, in the fandom of the Snyderverse. So I have been seeing it popping up here and there. So yeah. Because of the technical difficulties, I will be re-uploading the stream, and there won't be a stream tomorrow. So that's why I did it today. And that's why I am doing what I'm doing right now. But I am a bit disappointed that we didn't get to talk about the Jesus allegory because it's just simply completely not true. Like oh, Superman is Jesus. In at least in Man of Steel, it's just not a thing because Superman commits genocide in Man of Steel. So last I checked, Jesus did not commit genocide. And some people have said, James Gunn's Superman focuses too much on the man side of, like, if you want to say, oh, God, Jesus is fully man, fully God, and if Superman is Jesus, then Zack Snyder focused too much on the God part, and Zack Snyder focused too much on the God part. James Gunn focused too much on the man part, and the best Superman marries both. I think there's truth to the sentiment. And this is best exemplified by the Christopher Reeves Superman. But if you also just pay attention to the dialogue used when Clark Kent becomes Superman, when he arrives at the Fortress of Solitude, I think it's a little bit more on the nose there. Not that it's a bad thing. The movie's still great, but yeah, no, like I don't think I agree with the sentiment. I just think it's wrong when people point to Zack Snyder and go like, "Oh, he focused too much on the God part." Even though that is still technically true, he doesn't even do it correctly. Because like they treat God like if they're going to treat him like a god, then he's a very immoral one. And that's basically because like Thomas Jonathan basically just told him, yes, maybe you should let the bus full of kids drown because, oh, what if they find you? What if the government find you? They might take you from us. Okay, then and do what exactly? I'm invincible. Remember? I mean, no, I'm not invincible. I'm Superman. Invincible's the other guy that gets beat up all the time. But like, I'm invincible. Nothing can beat me. What could they possibly do again? Oh, they're gonna be mean to me. Oh, they're gonna judge me. They're gonna. Okay, and who cares? Like, I can't believe that's like an actual moral quandary that he has. I am going to let people die because I don't want people to say I'm an alien. That's just bad. Superman is not any better either. He's like an actual war criminal. Like maybe he's not on the same level of like immorality as Zack Snyder Superman, because Zack Snyder did commit genocide, but he's still like he committed 2 war crimes. The first one was more direct. Like at the very beginning where he pinned Gurkhos against a tree. The second one was a little bit more indirect, but because he just sent the Justice Gang over to Moravia. So, but he was still committing a war crime. So, ultimately, they both suck. Both James Gunn's Superman and Zack Snyder's Superman, they both suck. Good actors being given terrible scripts. They both suck. And it's never for the reasons people say it is. It has nothing to do with the tone. And if you want to learn more about that, then I have my video up in the ready, comparing the Batman with Superman. You check that out. But yeah, anyway, that is going to do for this stream today. Thank you guys for watching, those that stuck by. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I apologize for the interruptions. I'm going to fix that in the re-upload. And yeah, no stream tomorrow. But there will be a stream next week. Hopefully, we might cover the Max Allo one. Yeah. Just like, subscribe, check out the Rumble, check out the Patreon, check out my Discord server. And yeah, support me on Buy Me a Coffee. And like and subscribe. Already said that. And yeah, cut to black.